We are live. Yay.
Yay.
Welcome, everyone. Today I'm doing something different. I brought on my colleague, Jessica Abbey. She's another career coach. We're both very experienced career coaches who have helped more than 1,000 people between us, 5 to 7 years of doing this. And I know actually the reason we decided to do this is we connected this year. I mean, we've always been in communication, but
Mhm.
both of us have gone through some hardships. Um, for me, I ended up being burnt out. I'll just say it. This is the first time I actually say it out loud. I'm just going to say it out loud. There's no shame. I'm a human being
No,
too. Yes, I'm a career
exactly.
coach, but I'm also a human being too. I got burnt out. Some of you have read my story being in a 9 year relationship and going through a breakup. In addition to that, I also got diagnosed with vestibular migraines. This is the
Oh my.
first time, I will say, this is the second time that I do a live um, after not being live for like 3 months, which is crazy
Mhm.
for me because I used to do lives all the time. It was a
I
very
love
tough
your
time.
lives. I
Thank you.
always I always click on them.
Yeah. So, it was just a strange time for me. I think it was just like one thing after the other where my dog, died in 2024. I fell out of love with career coaching for a period of time. I wasn't sure if I actually fell out of love with it.
Mhm.
I discovered it was more my business model. It wasn't serving me. I was burnt out. I felt like I wasn't generating the revenue that I wanted to generate. Again, I'm being 100% transparent because a
Yeah.
lot of you might be, whether you are a professional, whether you're a business owner. I don't think I've met a single person who actually said to me that they're happy with their finances right now. You
Mhm.
could be making 1 million right now and maybe used to make 5 million. You could be making $10,000 months, and you used to make like 20,000, right? You could be
Mhm.
making like $150,000 and maybe you had to take a pay cut because of how tough the economy is.
Mhm.
And Jessica and I here were thinking, like, why don't we just talk about this openly?
Yeah.
Because we realized that some of you may not realize this. Some of you might think just because we're business owners, we have this freedom and we have it better. We actually 1,000% understand what you're going through. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Jessica, because you also went through this period and
Mhm.
you had your, I will call, pivotal moment this year that
Yeah.
made you decide to take a break. And so why don't you share with everyone what happened?
Well, yeah, and I first of all, I just the fact that you even acknowledge that you were burned out, I think is huge because a lot of times people don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And they power and power and power through, and then they hit a wall. And so I think I kind of did a little bit of that at the beginning of the year. Like this year has been so crazy. It started with COVID, and then I got a rebound COVID. Then we had an apartment fire and we had to move out. We still don't live back where we were, and it's still kind of sitting, waiting to be demoed and rebuilt and stuff like that. Then my husband got sick with a different kind of vertigo, which sucks. And then
Like
we just
everyone has it.
I know what's going on with vertigo right now. So like it's just been really hard to get a foothold this year on the things you have to do to run a business. It doesn't
Yeah.
You can't just rely on referrals alone, but that's basically what I've been doing for the last I don't know, how long has it been? Like 5, 6 months since the fire. And
Wow.
because there's just been so many factors that you don't even think about when you have a fire and you're dealing with insurance company. I mean, if anybody has dealt with it, they totally understand what I'm talking about. But the level of detail that you have to go through in order to produce like all the pictures and the list of all of your items. It took me weeks, if not months, to put that together because I was doing it almost solo. My husband was helping a bit, but he has a full-time job. I had the flexibility because I work for myself. So the responsibility fell to me. And it was really interesting because in May, or a little bit before May, I was kind of starting to think, maybe I need a break. And then just even acknowledging it, then the fire happened. Then like my whole world was upside down for weeks and months. And I think that at the end of the day, I didn't really fully realize how much of a break I actually needed because I've been pushing and working with people for over 6 years. I've worked with 1,000 people probably at this point. Last year was really, really crazy busy with like a rebrand, a podcast launch, buying a new wardrobe for the photo shoot, for like it was just a crazy year. And then this year what started so, I don't know, just so off kilter. So I think that sometimes we just have to really recognize when it's time to take a break. And something that I had written in my most recent LinkedIn post was like, sometimes you choose it and sometimes it chooses you. Sometimes you get sick or, you get into an accident or you break your foot or something like that. And it's telling you like, it's time to take a break. So that's where I am right now. And I'm coming out of the tunnel. I feel like I was kind of in a little bit of a tunnel, kind of like a self-care tunnel. Like I didn't want to take on too much. And I really just wanted to focus on healing and, from the trauma of the fire. Like luckily nobody was injured, but like just waiting out on the sidewalk for hours to figure out like, okay, here's what's going on. You can enter your place. We had no idea how bad it was going to be, waiting on, pins and needles. Anyway, so it's all been about self-care this past few months. And honestly, I wish I had done more self-care in the beginning. And self-care can honestly, doesn't have to be a break. It just means that you're taking care of your boundaries.
1,000%. And I think that that's what it was for me. I think for me, my journey mirrored a lot of my clients who feel like they hit a glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was just weird because it's my own business. I can choose my glass ceiling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Technically, I can.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other thing that I realize, which is what my clients go through, because right now I mostly work with very senior professionals, mostly executives. You can know that you've outgrown where you are, but I think the effort of actually figuring out of what is next for you and then feeling like you're at a loss in terms of what are the steps you need to take in
Mm-hmm.
order to get there can be very taxing.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it that I now understand and empathize with people who feel stagnant in their career is you're trying to assess if that next move is feasible. You start doubting yourself. You're like, am I really as good as I think I am? Or am I being cocky? Like, is this in my head?
Or is it just like a natural that I'm supposed to go this way?
Yeah.
Like this is a natural next step. But but then you think about it and it's not, it fills you with dread, even thinking about continuing on.
And then you start comparing yourself to people, right? And then you're like, okay, do I have the same characteristics? For me, it's like, do I have the same following? Do I have I been doing this for the same number of years? And it's nuts. It's crazy because those are things I teach my clients not to pay attention to. But your inner gremlin inevitably, because it's you, starts questioning, right? And then the other pathway is, okay, is this going to be profitable? if I go through this path? How long is it gonna take me to monetize it? Which is exactly what our clients go through too, right? When they're going after an opportunity, like a role,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, but is this like realistic? How long is it gonna take me to get there? And if they're so
Yeah.
fed up and bored with the work they do, they're like, oh, I can't take it anymore. If this goal is big and is gonna take me 6 months to a year, like I don't
Mhm.
want to do it because I just
And
want to leave.
yes. And you know what I think that there are so many parallels between what a professional goes through when they're looking at their next step, whatever that may mean, and what
Yeah.
we go through all the time. And I think that what you're touching on is something that I have struggled with so much, is that when a job seeker is looking for a job or they're looking for promotion, they do things that are unpaid to get that opportunity. We, as business owners, how much of our actual time is unpaid?
Oh my
It's more
God,
than
Jessica.
50%, I will tell you that.
I have a lot of wounds around that, and I'm sorry,
Yeah,
everyone. If I, it's not my intention to offend anyone, right?
right.
I'm just being real and honest about what I personally and emotionally go through. I'm
Mhm.
taking the hat. See, here's the thing that people don't understand, and that kind of hurts me sometimes, is people see me, they see the 44,000 followers, and all of a sudden I'm objectified. I'm not
Mhm.
even a human being.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm called a creator, sometimes I'm called an influencer. And then there's the expectation as well. You asked for it. You asked for being an influencer. You asked for being, a content creator. Isn't what you do, like put out content, gonna get you clients automatically? You're gonna get a client out of it. So why
Mhm.
are you complaining? And that's kind
Yeah.
of hurtful, because if you put yourself as a job seeker in our shoes and think about this, you invest so much of your emotion and so much of your hope into landing this opportunity,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Let's say, I don't know, you are applying for a job at Microsoft, and you go through this entire interview process, and you're told to come up with some kind of case study to solve a problem for them.
Yeah.
And you spend maybe like 7, conversations and or interactions, and then you don't end up getting the opportunity. And all this while, you're not getting paid for that. And you could have invested your time interviewing with someone else, and you could have, made money out of it sooner.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that people don't understand, is this is my job. This
Right.
is not a charity.
No.
You can help people, and you deserve to be compensated in
Mhm.
whatever profession you're in. Even a doctor is not going to say, "Hey, I'm going to talk to you for free and I'm not going to bill you." You could
Mhm.
be dying and an ambulance wouldn't take you into the hospital. I've seen people being turned away if they don't pay over $500, $700 just to get into the hospital.
Mm.
And it's an emergency.
Right.
So it's almost like there is that expectation of, you got to give me a ton of stuff for free.
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, like, you want to be, if you got to treat the person like how you want to be treated, right? Like if in your values you don't want people to actually, take too much of your time and drag you through so many conversations, then just think about whether you're actually doing that with others,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think about the opportunity costs for a job seeker and also a self-employed person, that you could probably be making money doing this. Like, let's say you're a job seeker and you have to go through all these hoops to land a job. It's probably going to be difficult for you to have a part-time job driving for Lyft or something just to make a few extra dollars to be able to make ends meet. And just like it is for us, it's really difficult to do something else Like, let's say, get a part-time job or work for somebody else, because we have to spend time trying to get that next client, trying to get the next business, trying to get invited on someone's podcast, trying to get invited for speaking opportunities. Like, there's so much that you have to do as a self-employed, freelancer, private practice person, that is kind of like, there's an opportunity cost. Yeah, maybe I could have made a few dollars here and there by doing this thing. Like, I started dog sitting. I'm dog sitting right now, which is great, because it's like an extra little bit of income, and it doesn't take a lot of my energy to do it, but a lot of things do. And it you really do have to weigh those pros and cons, and just know that, there's a reason why some career coaches charge $10,000 for a 6-week boot camp, right? Like, there's a reason for that, because 80% of the work that they even did to launch that thing is completely unpaid. So you're doing all this work just like a job seeker would do. You are doing all this work, and it's unpaid, for the hope that something is going to come of it. And there's no guarantees in this line of work. So that can lead to burnout, just that in and of itself. And, when you think about somebody who's looking for a job, they're probably looking once every, hopefully 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Whereas we kind of have to do all that soul searching and all the pivoting and all the trying and all the pushing every month to make ends meet. It's a lot, but I think that I think it gives us a lot of empathy for what the job seeker is going through, or not even job seeker. It could just be the professional who's looking for their next thing, whatever that next thing may be. Because some of them, some people who are professionals are looking to start their own business, or start a side business, or retire, or get a promotion, so I think we do, because we go through this in a very concentrated sense. I think we have a lot of empathy for what people are going through.
Absolutely. I think I got a little bit of my preparation when I was in management consulting. Now, granted, when I was in management consulting, I worked permanently for the organization. And the organization, the big fives, the boutique consultancies, they did all of the work in terms of finding me the projects and staffing me. Now I have a lot of appreciation for the work they were doing, because it's never easy to actually look for opportunities. Right. And to be in this sales marketing seat, where you have to constantly prove yourself, and you have to sell yourself, and to persuade yourself, and to show that you're a fit. And you know what? We are right now at a time where we all have to learn how to do that. And I think we are getting into this type of economy where very soon, employers may actually not hire people on a permanent basis. They might actually hire them as consultants, contractors, fractional, folks. And, I'm already seeing, because of AI, a shift in, we don't need you full time. We only need you part-time. And so the idea of portfolio careers and hiring people as fractional workers and consultants is going to happen. And so we all need to get better at actually putting ourselves out there, at being better communicators and being better persuaders. So some of it, was preparation for me when I was a consultant. I didn't have to look for the opportunities, but I still had to be constantly interviewed for projects. Even though I already worked for the company, I had to interview with the client, and the client would decide whether they would take me on or not. In my business, obviously, I have to be the one who creates a lead pipeline, and to build relationships with people, to network. So when people tell me, like, I don't want to network, I don't want to put myself out there, it's kind of sleazy, I'm just like sitting here and thinking, well, if I had that mindset, I wouldn't have food on the table, right?
No, you wouldn't have half the opportunities that you've had as a self-employed career coach if you hadn't done any of those things, because you've gotten some tremendous opportunities through networking that would not have happened
Yeah. I
had you
mean,
not.
last year, I pretty much played a fractional CMO role, and it wasn't through applying for a job. It
Mm-mm.
was actually a founder seeing my content and me building a relationship with him, going, meeting for a coffee, providing free advice, right? And showing him what I was able to accomplish in my own business in order for him to see how that would fit in his business. So, this constant skill set of like showing people what you're capable of,
Mm-hmm.
to me, right now, in a world of AI where everyone just can copy each other and just find the answer in AI, that's what's going to help anyone stand out. To me, skills, competency, be the actual execution of what you need to do in order to complete the job, whether you're in tech, product manager, agile coach, developer, you can easily look up what is it that I need to do to complete the job. The skill that people are not going to be able to copy, which is the hard skill, is actually any skill that requires emotional resilience and vulnerability from you.
Mm.
That's the skill that people are going to have a hard time competing on. And if you lean into that, even if it feels icky, even if it scares you to death, you're going to be at the top of your game.
Yeah, I agree. And what about in addition to those emotional intelligence skills, what about visibility? Because I think that what you're talking about reminds me of, like, for one, you can't really run a business without visibility,
Oh my God.
right? In some way, like whether that's through your reputation or through posting on social media or having an Instagram, like whatever. You can't really run a business without that visibility. And I think that you can't really be a successful professional. I mean, you can be a professional who's employed, but to be like truly successful, you do have to be visible. You have to make your work visible. And sometimes the visibility happens at work, and sometimes it happens on social media or other online channels. And sometimes it's both. And I've seen some of the most successful professionals have both options, because at that point, then people are like, you're a known quantity. People have seen what you've said. They know what your expertise is. They know how you write and how you speak and how you put out information into the world and what your thought leadership is. So imagine if you were to do both, you might actually have more opportunities than you would if you were posting things on social media like, I just got ghosted from another recruiter. And I'm not saying that with any disrespect. I'm just saying, like, there's kind of a different way of being visible, like what should be visible, what really should stand out is like what makes you, like what you say, like your secret sauce.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, I will say in the past couple of years, there has been an emergence of the concept of personal branding on LinkedIn,
Oh,
which is my
yes.
biggest pet peeve. Because here's the thing, Jessica, and I want people to really, really think about this, right? And if you're watching, by the way, I would love it if you just give us a like, let us know that you're listening, because, sometimes it's weird to just, I mean, it's great that I have Jessica here. Usually it's just me talking to myself, but it's kind of weird sometimes. It feels like we're talking to the void. So I would
Yeah.
love if you let us know if you're listening in the chat, maybe give us a like, and even just feel free to ask us a question in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what it's like to be a career coach or what goes behind the scene.
Yeah.
But back to my little story around the emergence of these personal branding gurus. One thing that I want people to think about is always ask yourself who's giving the advice. What is their story? What is their experience? A lot of folks who are personal branding gurus, and I'm not going to mention names, but let's talk about the top three as an example.
Mm-hmm.
With 200,000, 100,000 to 200,000 followers, a lot of them don't have a lot of experience in the corporate world. They haven't been in the corporate world. They might have freelanced, they might have got right into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't understand what employers care about, what recruiters care about, what hiring managers care about when they look at your brand.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, personal brand is your reputation,
Mm-hmm.
how people perceive you, right? But, when you go to the beach, you're going to wear a swimsuit. But when you are in a boardroom, you're going to dress differently. So this advice that they're going to give you might work for someone who's an entrepreneur when it comes to building their personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to work. It's not going to work in terms of building trust with recruiters when you're a professional. So when you're putting these flashy, LinkedIn banners that say, I help people optimize teams, when you're like a scrum master or project manager, or I help you double your, team's productivity, and
Mm-hmm.
recruiters scratching their head and they're like, what is this? What kind of role does this person want? Is this person actually looking for employment opportunities, or are they trying to
Right.
launch a business? So that's number one.
Yep.
Number two, there is this false belief that the more content I create and put out there, the more I'm going to get visibility and the better chances I have of landing an opportunity. Let's even call it a career opportunity, a business opportunity, or a consulting opportunity.
Can we just agree that they're all kind of just flavors of the same?
It is.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's business.
It's
you're
whether you
trading
work
your
for somebody else,
expertise for money.
it doesn't matter where your money is coming from, whether it's internal at a company or external because you're self-employed. It's all the skills are still the same or still necessary,
Exactly. You were sharing with me yesterday this concept of being a CEO of your career.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like, it doesn't matter whether you legally work for an organization or work for yourself. At the end of the day, you're responsible for attracting aligned opportunities and giving your expertise in exchange for money. So yeah, back to the whole creating content. This is the same thing. This is no different than people who apply for jobs left and center, thinking that the more jobs I apply to, regardless of how my resume looks like or sounds, I'm going to get opportunities. So now people have shifted their thinking because it's easier to create a LinkedIn post, right? The more I create content, the better my chances. And then what's making it worse even is now we have ChatGPT, because it used to be harder to actually sit down and think about what am I going to write. And ChatGPT gives you this false, reassurance that, hey, it's like you're looking at a mirror and the mirror is lying to you. You look handsome. You look beautiful. Here's your post, just there. That's all you need, to actually be visible. And unfortunately, where does ChatGPT get its information, right? It's the same information, but it's using your language or tone or based on previous prompts you've created to just tweak it a little bit. And now you're posting it and you're thinking that you're building trust with people. We're actually not in an economy where it's more visibility. We're actually in an industry where you're going to stand out if you're able to build more trust. And how you build more trust is not by sounding like a robot. It's actually being okay. Back to what I was saying before, it's being okay with being vulnerable and facing your fears. This is why, to this day, regardless of how the algorithm has changed and people complain about the reach, my content still performs, because I'm not scared of actually writing and talking about hard stuff, just like you are, Jessica, right? Like you talked about some hard stuff, with the fire and you taking a break, and you have a podcast that talks about your childhood stories and what you've gone through. In my opinion, my professional opinion, having worked with people in terms of over 1,000 landing jobs and improving, let's call it, I'm not even going to say visibility, improving their reputation and building trust, enough trust, even though they haven't had a linear career, to actually attract the right opportunities, and also working with founders and career coaches to create magnetic content that actually builds trust. I really think it really comes down to, this is a really great opportunity to set your ego aside and to actually do the harder thing that no one is willing to do, is be honest, be truthful, and face your fears.
And what I think that we do is that we model this to other people.
Oh my God.
Whether
Yeah.
it's, if we're modeling it to other career coaches, we're modeling it to employed professionals who work for somebody else, or job seekers who are looking for a job. By being able to do what we do in front of other people, we are modeling that reputation and the visibility and putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable and being honest about where we are. Like, we need, in an AI driven world, we need more humanity.
Yes.
We need to be able to say, here's how I'm a human, and here's what it's going to be like to work with me, whether it's as a coach client relationship or as an employed person who's working for a company. This is what it's going to be like to work with me. This is what I'm going to be able to do for you, and here's also my personality. A lot of times I think that interview questions are set up just to see like how positive somebody would be to work with, like how they answer some of the questions. Do they speak in like positive language, or are they using like negative language? Do they look really frustrated when they're telling you a story? Do they seem passive aggressive? Because like they're probably trying to weed some of these things out too. I'm just kind of mentioning this as an aside, but
And how excited you are about this opportunity, because energetically, if your heart is not into it, it doesn't matter what you say. You could be memorizing the best ChatGPT script, but people can tell if your heart is not into it. And I think that kind of happened to me, like I will say, beginning of 2024. I mean, my clients were getting a ton of value, but there was a period of time where I realized I can't get on these consultation calls. I can't talk to people. I'm just so down. I don't know if I even want to do this. And I made the decision to pull myself out, because I don't want someone to come to me and talk to me and feel like I'm not paying attention to them, or I don't care about their situation. And there is a bit of a unique aspect to being a career coach that is different than any other entrepreneur, is that the type of work that we do, a lot of it relies on empathy. Like, you need to have, God knows you need to have empathy in order to do this job. Like, if you don't have it, like, I don't know how you can be a career coach. Maybe there are psychopaths out there who are career coaches, just like there are psychopaths who are therapists and doctors. I mean,
but the vast majority, like, don't you know a lot of amazing people who became career coaches? Like, but yeah, there might be a few.
Hopefully
That
not.
don't care, but like so many of us do. We got into this line of work because we do.
We care a lot.
And that we do. And when our clients win, we win. When our clients lose, we feel it. So
yeah, 100%. And I think the lesson for me is what I recognized, which I was teaching before, but I realized even more than ever, that if you're not passionate, if you don't love what you do, and I know a lot of people are going to argue with me, I got to put, food on the table, you're being rosy and unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're that kind of person and you have it good and you're happy with your life, good for you. Not talking to you. This might not be relevant to you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. But if you're like us and you're the kind of person who values getting excited when you wake up in the morning, doing what you love, you understand what I'm talking about. It could be a combination of things that causing you not to feel that way. It could be like the stagnation that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're overqualified for the work that you do. It could be that you're not respected, you're not well compensated. And that happened to me in 2023, where I was like undercharging. I was heavily undercharging.
Mm-hmm.
I was allowing people to tell me that my prices were too high, which is the same thing as if you work at an employer and you know you're creating wins, you know you're crushing it, you're delivering these multi-million-dollar projects, and then your employer tells you, well, maybe we'll give you a 1% salary increase. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you're not going to want to be there, right? So that's another reason why people also feel burnt out or they're not excited about what they do. And then the third one is the type of people that you work with. I actually find that that's even more important than the type of work that you do, the type of people that you're around. If you're around people who don't see you, see your value, acknowledge that what you have done for them is life changing or transformative, we're human beings. We want recognition and appreciation. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to make us want to go on.
Every client I've ever had says that that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And not just like a quick little pat on the back, not just like a random offhand comment, but they really want to know how their work contributes to the bigger picture and how they're being compensated for the effort and the intelligence that they're bringing to the role. I feel like every client I've ever had has said basically the same thing. And one of the reasons why they leave or they want to leave, one of the sometimes, even as a career coach, I'm like, God, do I really want to do this anymore? It has to do with not feeling recognized for what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know, something that we were talking about the other day was how sometimes the clients we get mirror our own state, like where we are, our emotional state. Like sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I'll get a client who really, really needs a lot, like a lot of support just to be able to like write their own resume or something. Like they really struggle with knowing their value. And those are the times when I'm also struggling with my own value. So it's like our clients are mirrors, and the people we work with at work are mirrors to kind of like what we're showing up with and what our emotional and internal state is. It's kind of hard to quantify that. How do you even quantify that? It's kind of hard.
And I think that we all need to work on our money mindset and the way we treat anyone who actually provides us any type of service. Um, every single person, I will say for the most part, unless you are you provide a product or something, but most people are in the service industry, right?
Mhm.
Even if you're building a product, you're still in the service industry. You're providing some kind of service, whether it's to an organization or to an individual.
Yeah.
And I think, we got to be kind to each other, right? Like if you go to a restaurant and a waitress comes and tries her best and she basically um, gets your order, she makes changes because you have allergies. You can see that it's very busy and she's tired and she's not, taking her lunch break and doing her best to make sure that you have a good time, like put yourself in her shoes, right? Just think like it doesn't cost much to actually be kind to the person.
Mhm.
Because I do believe that what you put out is what you receive. If you want I do feel that the universe, treats you the way you treat people. So if you're that kind of person who's not going to tip, who's not going to say thank you, like don't expect that you're going to be treated well in an interview process. And it's the same thing, when I get people who come to me and say, I want to add, $50,000 to $100,000 to my salary. And then I share with them the investment, which happens to be less than 1% of how much they're going to make.
Yeah.
And then I get this like, oh my God, that's too much. And of course, I have to be professional. And a lot of times, I count to 10 before I say anything. But just understand that, again, logically,
Yeah.
you're expecting something huge that's going to be transformative, but you don't want to show appreciation, because I do feel that money is a form of appreciation. If you're providing value to someone, how you show appreciation is you pay them. You pay them, and also you treat them nicely, right? And so that's like my other takeaway for folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that. I think that there's certain expectations about what this kind of thing costs or whatever. Don't want to talk too much about money necessarily, but again, like it's not just what we can do for a client. It also has to do with the fact that we have done this so many times already. We've seen the trends. We know the insider scoop. We have the expertise. What we've been able to develop over years, a person doesn't have to do very often.
Yeah.
So, and we've done it with like various organizations and various levels of professionals, and we can see those trends. And there's a lot of, and then the other thing too is like, we are also like in a way kind of mythbusters and trying to dispel some of the bad information and misinformation that keeps populating feeds. And they keep populating feeds because they drive a huge number of engagement. Huge, right? It's like I see a post something like, okay guys, for the last time, not really, not the last time. Okay, for the last time, is it a one-page resume or not? And it has like 500 comments because
Yeah.
it's the kind of thing that gets likes. And so
To
we
your
also
point,
have to be that myth buster.
yeah, to your point, there's a lot of invisible work that a lot of professionals do behind the scenes. It's kind of like telling a doctor, well, you only spoke to me for 10 minutes, and therefore you should not be charging whatever, $200, $300 for a visit.
Yeah.
And what people don't know is this doctor is in thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, going to medical school, studying, learning all this information so that they're able to give you this efficient advice in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's actually going to save your life. And so we both have gone through this, Jessica, right? Where we went into like over a year certification, learning everything that we can in terms of the recruitment process and how it works. And then we had to, consolidate all this information through our practice. We put in the reps, testing it on different clients, different industries. And then we had to come up with frameworks and systems that would make it easy for people to understand. I personally have invested more than $30,000 just to build a curriculum. I spent on top of that hundreds and thousands of dollars to be able to figure out what the right process is and to package it up and so that it's consumable in an easy way for clients, right? So yeah, the reason it takes maybe like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour for you to learn this isn't a reason Like, we got to move away from this mindset of trading. Okay, if I spend this many hours, then I should be compensated more. And
Yeah.
as a professional, it's the same thing, right? A lot of people have this weird mindset of, oh, if I put in 30 hours or 40 hours, I need to be compensated a certain amount. It's not about how many hours you put in. It's also about how much education went into you being able to provide that value to an organization.
Exactly. And as career coaches, it's probably, we're probably on the whole going to make less money than a professional. And
Not
we're going to
always, but
spend, well, no, not always, but it's not going to be a consistent form of income, right?
true.
1 month you might have a $20,000 a month or something, whatever. I'm just throwing numbers out there. And then the other month it's 1,000. So like it's not as easy to predict. And so you kind of have to be your own genie a little bit on those things. Yeah. So it's like there's so much that goes into what we do. But because we do this all the time, we have to. We have to be vulnerable in front of people. We have to get, help people understand who we are. We have to find the right vibe of client. It's not like, if you're hiring a plumber, whether or not you vibe with that person probably doesn't matter all that much. You just want somebody who's going to stop, the toilet from leaking.
I mean, I don't know, Jessica, if I would want to let someone that I don't vibe with into my home, but I guess I would be desperate at that point if my toilet is overflowing.
Because you're in an emergency
gross.
situation,
But
right?
yeah,
Right.
I mean, I
But-
remember my condo building brought a locksmith because I had to change my locks, and he was so like rude to me. He was screaming at me like I was
Oh,
trying to
no.
unlock my door, and he was like, "That's not how you unlock your door." And I was just like traumatized, but I couldn't say
no.
anything because I didn't have a choice, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying, and I know that we're like almost 10 minutes to the top of the hour. What should we leave people with, Jessica? Like, first of all, I want to know before, you answer this question, like, do you guys want a part 2? This was so random. It was not like super structured, but we're just experimenting. Jessica and I are experimenting because we have this idea of, well, I know there are career coaches out there who, might benefit from what we share, having been running our practice for over 5 years, 5 to 7 years. And also, we wanted to be very transparent in terms of what we go through as career coaches. Because I feel like people need to be educated a little bit more around what a career coach does and how we actually go through the same thing that folks go through. And B is because I think these are universal lessons that could help anyone. So if you want an encore, whether you're watching this live right now or watching the replay, please put that in a comment. And then Jessica, I'm going to pass it to you. What do you want people to go away with after watching this today?
Well, for one, I want them to really look forward to a round 2 because I want to do round 2. But otherwise, I think that, basically just to reiterate what I was saying before, which is like there is so much that goes into the kind of work we do, similar to what goes into the kind of work that an employed professional has to go through. There's a ton of knowledge, expertise, empathy that we're bringing to the table. There are, the ability to spot trends and to spot scare tactics and to help our clients kind of through and make really good decisions. But at the end of the day, like we are mirrors of each other.
Mm-hmm.
We, as self-employed people, mirror what professionals need to go through and in order to land a job. It's kind of similar stuff there. So I think that, to maybe for a long time, I thought that being self-employed and being employed was so different. And over the years, I've seen that that's actually not the case. It's very similar skills, very similar needs, to put yourself out there, to develop that reputation, to stay connected with your career. Your career is your business, whatever it is. If you're consulting, if you're self-employed, you have a private practice, or if you work for somebody else, your
Yeah.
career is your own. It's your responsibility, and what you get out of it has so much to do with what you put into it and the clarity that you have with doing what it is that you do. We're not really that different. And there's so much that we do that a lot of clients can benefit from, whether they're other career coaches or other, employed people.
Yeah. I love how you shared with me yesterday. You are a business of one, no matter who you are.
Mhm. And that's what the marketplace is kind of demanding right now. It's
Yeah.
not, we've just, I know that we're running out of time here, but one last thing I want to say is that job sites, have kind of, trained us to basically, like, when we're looking for a job, to go to the job site, whether it's Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, look for jobs and then apply, because that's, they were in a greater abundance before. We're not in that time anymore. So professionals can't do that effectively. So it is more now than ever as important to treat your career as your business. And that mindset, I think, will really help you own what you can own and let go of what you can't
Thousand
control.
percent. 1,000%. I think the pillars when it comes to, or the hurdles that we have to overcome, regardless of what we are doing with our career, really boil down to those three things. You got to figure out what your zone of genius is and what your mastery is, that you actually love doing, which what I call is your career sweet spot. And then you got to be able to put yourself out there and convince people, but you don't want to be chasing. You want to do it in a classy way
Mhm.
where you're putting valuable information that solves people's problems and you're letting people see it, which is what we're doing, right? We're role modeling this right now. And they might like you based on that. They will be able to see, because you're showing them, not telling them, that
Mhm.
you're good at what you do. And that involves excellent communication skills. And again, a very deep understanding of what people need, what problems they need solved, what challenges, your talent and expertise can help them with. And then the third one, honestly, a lot of it is being able to build relationships with people, because it's not enough for you to be good at what you do, be clear on what brings you joy, and be able to demonstrate that you're great at what you do. If you're not able to build relationships with people in a way where it's not like transactional, where you actually show that you care and it's coming
Mhm.
from a good place,
Mhm.
then you're never going to have a sustainable career, because people are just going to know that you're being selfish, and they're not, and
Yeah.
they're just, who wants to have a relationship with a one-way
It's a one.
transactional person, right?
Yeah.
So I think that applies to everything. And I know things are tough for everyone, but if we all go back to the basics, that's going to help us all succeed.
And the
And
basics, sorry, just really quickly, like the basics, we could be relationship coaches or communication coaches, and it's all kind of the very similar things that we're working on. It's how people navigate their relationships have a lot to do with how successful they are in their career.
absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of relationships, I'm actually launching a cool women in career coaching space,
Mhm.
because I do feel that I mean, I love working with everyone, and I work with, men, women in my career coaching practice. But I got this idea over the weekend to launch an exclusive women in career coaching group, mainly because I do feel that as women who are career coaches, our challenges can be very unique. Like we go through like hormonal stuff. I'm not gonna even be
What?
shy and say it.
What?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
And I just want other women to freely be able to talk about what they're going through. I
Right.
mean, hey, if you're a man and you want to be an ally, sure, message me and we'll see if we can get you in. But that's going to be the focus of the group. And then, Jessica, you have an amazing podcast. We're going to
Mhm.
drop it in the comments so that folks
Yep.
can check it out. And I'll tag you, Jessica, on this as well. So, guys, um, feel free to follow Jessica, connect with her, check out her podcast. And again, if you want more of this, let us know. And if there's a topic you want us to cover in terms of what it's like to be a career coach, maybe you've been thinking about launching your career coaching business and you're not sure. Maybe you're a career coach who has been doing this for years, like us, and you're like, oh, I don't know what else to do. I feel stagnant. Feel free to
Mhm.
reach out to us as well.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. It would mean a lot to me if you just like this, just so that people who need to see it can see it.
Yep.
Okay. Have a great time, everyone.